Hi, everybody. So, welcome back to Sarky Formstead, guys. Welcome, friends and family of the internet. How's your day going? As you pop on, hit the like button, drop over in comments, tell me who you are, where you're watching from. So, let's just start with basic knowledge. Everybody at this point should know about the cute winter boots happening across the world. And here's something to give you a little bit of a giggle. Kids on the left and adults on the left, that first off, they believe America is a democracy, which is hilarious. And second, don't really know what they're talking about, think that all of these protests and even riots happening around the world are for America. Yeah, you guys heard me. Like the whole world is protesting for America. I mean, they don't have any issues in their country, right? They feel so bad for America. You're welcome, my friend, that they're protesting just for America. Yeah, just us. Like nobody else is protesting because they're having issues. They're only protesting.
I've seen people say that other countries around the world are protesting for Americans, but when I go and research protests happening, they're not, from what I found, they're not protesting for Americans. They're either protesting their own government for other reasons or because their government is in cahoots with Trump, or they're protesting against Trump because Trump has threatened their country. They're not protesting for the people of America. I can't verify the whole they're protesting for Americans, but I can verify everything else I just said. I keep seeing people say that other.
So I find that really funny that all these young adults and, well, leftist thinking people truly believe that the world is protesting on behalf of America. That isn't true at all. Right now, there are protests going on in embassies around the world, mainly in the Congo. So you're going to see a lot of protesting coming from the embassies around the Congo. It's got nothing to do with America. Right now, there are mass protests going on in Greece over a train crash that killed 57 college-age students. Again, nothing to do with America. There are protests in Bangladesh over some kind of fighting and party divide that's been going on for years. So I think what's happening is Americans are so self-centered. Our younger people and people who, are liberal truly believe that the whole world rotates around them. And they're so caught up in their own nonsense that they can't even imagine that the world might be protesting about what's going on in their country. It's got nothing to do with America, and they could care less. I know that Germany's had protests off and on steady now for months about illegal immigration. They're not protesting on behalf of America. They're flat protesting against the German government and the EU overrunning their countries with millions of illegal fighting age men. They've had enough. Oh, the devil does, Miss Morrissey. The devil has them. They have no idea what's really going on. Malignant narcissist. I love it. It's the truth. But also, let me just go ahead and clarify this. Earlier, I made a video for you guys while I was driving, coming home from the vet. And my GPS talks a little bit. And I clearly state, just hold on a second, she's going to stop. For the first 60 seconds, you hear the GPS. Folks, do you guys realize that in person, people would never dare say what you type in comments? And even though I'm a content creator, I care about the truth. I don't care about whether or not people love me, like me, or anything else. So if you bite, Sam bites back. That is just my personality. So love you guys. Remember that everything doesn't have to be perfect all the time, right? Because I'm human. And when I'm doing things, I'm trying to fit you guys in a very busy schedule because I don't get paid enough to just donate my whole day to this, right? I have to fit you guys in. So keep that in mind, please. And let's see. I wanted to show y'all what's going on with these cute winter boots right now in America. These protests they were so excited about.
I know a lot of you guys have questions.
Get ready to laugh.
The protest on Wednesday, and to be honest, I don't have a lot of answers. I was on a TikTok for the Boston protest that's happening and was wondering where the Portland one was, and there wasn't one. And so I just made it on Canva, and I said, let's meet here. And all of you guys responded so wonderfully. So now I'm trying to find some organization to back us. I'm trying to get in contact with the media or anyone who has a speaker system. I don't really know. I've never organized one of these before. So I'm asking everyone for help. If you know anybody who was a part of the Women's March, the People's March, if you know anyone from any of the Support Palestine groups, please contact me and let's.
Okay, so these young people are so disorganized. And this is why. Let me show you this guy. Hold on. Don't get bored. It's getting good.
Heard about the cute winter boot sale going on. And, we want to keep all the cute winter boots to ourselves. So do not tell anybody anywhere on the internet where your boot store is located, your favorite store to get cute winter boots. Do not tell anybody where that is going to be and where it's going to be on January 29th. Tell people privately. Keep all specific information about your boots private.
Okay.
Apparently
these people are literally trying to have protest. And this is the advice they're giving each other. Don't tell anybody where it's at. I'm seeing person after person going, I don't know where the protests are. I don't know what we're protesting. Where are we meeting? When are we meeting? They're so unorganized because they are so afraid that the Republicans found out about where it's going to be. It's absolutely crazy. But let me show you what real Europeans feel about Trump.
God, imagine if our leader had the actual backbone to install a ruling like Trump has just ruled in the USA. Donald Trump has ruled that only the stars and stripes will be flown on government buildings around the world. No ifs, no buts.
Ands, no buts.
He said, and I quote, "It's time to take pride in the American flag again." Did you hear that, Starmer? Trump's ruling will apply to all buildings from domestic to foreign outposts, in a huge blow to lefties who have flown the flag and also the flag on US government buildings. And do you know what? I could not agree with this man more. I am proud to have served my country under the Union Jack. And so was my son, God rest his soul. And I believe it should be the only flag that we as a nation fly on our government buildings. Unlike our MPs and a certain of London who seems to want to fly every single flag possible except for the one flag that matters, our own country's flag, the Union Jack, especially in London. So I just want to say, well done, Mr. President. Our leader could learn a lot from.
So actually, the same tax-paying base of the world is excited for Trump to be back in. You guys, he's doing great things. Here's some information I found today that I want to share with y'all. A lot of you know this, but let's kind of go into it, right? So, CDC has been ordered to stop working with WHO? WHO is the World Health Organization. The decision was made after Trump signed an order indicating the United States would pull out of the Global Health Agency. Officials in the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, were ordered to stop working with the WHO effective immediately. It says the move was made after President Donald Trump signed an executive order last week to extradite to extract the United States from the WHO over what it said was the organization's mishandling of the C pandemic that arose out of Wuhan, China, and other global health crises. It basically says the administration placed an immediate pause on all posts, reports, and communications issued by the CDC, the FDA, the NIH, the HHS. That pause will remain in effect until at least February 1st. I told you guys this the other day, that he was pausing all funding, all studies, everything. Stop, and let's see what you're doing. This is how we're going to combat these mad scientists with global cloud seeding. No more funding. No more funding. Some exceptions, Fink said, will be made for communications that impact critical health, safety, environmental, financial, or nation security functions. But those statements must be reviewed beforehand. The order targeting the CDC isn't the only Trump action involving the Federal Health Agency. He has froze spending on anti-HIV programs, which was started by President George W. Bush decades ago. This was suspended as part of a broader freeze on foreign aid, at least for 90 days. So when you see people in South Africa who are protesting today, they are not protesting for Americans. They are protesting for the fact that America isn't funding your AIDS studies anymore. You got a government. Your government needs to step up. America cannot continue to pay for the entire world. You want to know why you're tight on money? Why your electric cost is so high? Why your kids keep having to come home? Because we're covering the whole world, baby. We're paying for everything. Under Trump's order signaling the United States will leave the WHO, it sets a 12-month notice period to leave the health body and stop all contributions to its work. In other words, we're not funding the WHO anymore either. If you're in another country and you're watching me and you want the WHO funded, you better talk to your politicians. The order to withdraw from WHO did not take immediate effect as it requires the approval of Congress and that the United States will have to meet its financial obligations to WHO for the current fiscal year. So we got to send millions of our money to the WHO for 2025. In a statement responding to Trump's decision, WHO said it regrets the announcement and it hopes the United States will reconsider. Of course they do. We fund the entirety of it, folks. Trump selected Fink, an endocrinologist and career civil servant who had led the HHS Office on Women's Health, to serve as interim HHS secretary while Senate confirmation gets underway for nominee Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Trump has also selected former Florida Republican Congressman Dave Weldon, a medical doctor, to head the CDC, and named John Hopkins surgeon Marty Makary to lead the FDA. Those positions require Senate confirmation. This is great. You guys get ready to get excited. The president last week confirmed that he removed Secret Service protection for Dr. Anthony Fauci. He says, when asked about the decision on January 24th in North Carolina, Trump told reporters, "You cannot have a security detail for the rest of your life because you worked for the government." Just saying. They thought they could, didn't they? They thought they could. Yes, they did. They thought they could. Oh, this is hilarious. Guys, listen to me. If you cannot, awesome, Stephen, thank you. If you cannot have a sense of humor, you're going to be a miserable person in this life, folks. It's funny. He laughed. He made it himself because it's funny. It's funny. All right, so let's keep going. Here is some of the stuff people are doing. That's Greensboro. My body, my choice. I wish they would have felt that way about the vaccine, right, you guys? It was our bodies, it was our choices, and they had a real problem with it. All right, let's get back to Trump. Withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization, January 20th, 2025. By the authority vested in me as president of the Constitution, president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1 purpose. The United States noticed its withdrawal from the World Health Organization in 2020 due to the organization's mishandling of the C-19 pandemic that arose out of Wuhan, China, and other global health crises. Its failure to adopt urgently needed reforms and its inability to demonstrate independence from the inappropriate political influence of WHO member states. In addition, the WHO continues to demand unfair, onerous payments from the United States far out of reach in proportion with other countries' assessed payments. China, with a population of 1.4 billion, has 300% of the population of the United States, yet contributes 90% less to the WHO. Section 2 Actions A. The United States intends to withdraw from the WHO. The presidential letter to the General Secretary of the United Nations signed on January 20, 2021 that retracted the United States July 6, 2020 notification of withdrawal is revoked. Executive Order 13987 of January 25th, 2021 is revoked. The Assistant to the President for National Secretary of Affairs shall establish directorates and coordinating mechanisms within the National Security Council apparatus as he deems necessary and appropriate to safeguard public health and fortify biosecurity. All right. It keeps going on. It says it recalls and reassigns United States government personnel or contractors working in any capacity with the WHO. Oh, wow. It says the director of the White House Office of Pandemic Preparedness and Response Policy shall review, rescind, and replace the 2024 U.S. Global Health Security Strategy as soon as practical. Love it. Anyway, he goes on. And the last one is the best because it says, while withdrawal is in progress, the Secretary of State will cease negotiation on the WHO pandemic agreement and the amendments to the international health regulations, and actions taken to the effectuate such agreement and amendments will have no binding force on the United States. Praise God. Praise God. We have somebody in there doing the right thing. Good evening, everybody. All right, so let me show you guys a few things I found today. So, let's start with, what is this one? No, I just showed you the guys that. Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys heard this.
Along the border in preparation for all-out war. Now I'm going to let this guy. So the Mexican cartels have started planning explosives. Along the border in preparation for all-out war. Now I'm going to let this guy tell you why they dumped around, and they're about to find out.
These dudes are not going to understand what's going on.
No, of course not.
They are in for a world of like ultra violence they've never actually felt before. They have no clue if we organize these tier 1 units against them. What I would be doing if I was down there, I'd be getting ready to retire right now. That's what I would be doing. Because if Delta Force was hunting me, bro, I would be so terrified. I'd retire. If you guys got some money, man, I would like put that away. You know, like maybe move Jamaica.
Open
I don't
up a
know, go
restaurant.
somewhere.
Yeah,
but go legit. Because
go legit.
dude, if those guys are hunting you, you're done.
Trump declares war on cartels. President-elect said notorious crime syndicates and drug kingpins will never sleep soundly again once he launches his plans to tackle the issue. He said we make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and operations. It is going to get wild.
It is going to get wild, you guys. Okay, this is what's going on in Europe.
They will get less pension in future.
And this is going to happen in the U.S., so listen.
The automatic raise of social welfare is also going to end. And also we had a benefit, which is not really a benefit, but what we had is when you're unemployed, you could still earn up to 500 euros a month without losing your unemployment benefits. And this is also something now that they will stop. So if you're unemployed, you cannot have a small side income anymore. So this is what's going to change. And also, here they are saying that they are stopping the subventions for photovoltaic systems. And also here they are saying that they will stop the tax subsidies on electric vehicles. So now they see that we have problems with the electric grid because we have so many electric vehicles, we have so many heat pumps, and this is driving the price up, of course. Meanwhile, we are not getting cheap natural gas anymore. Meanwhile, we don't have enough of electricity in Europe, especially when it's dark in wintertime. So now even the politicians understand that our electric grid is vulnerable and it's already pushed to the maximum. So they cannot push it anymore, otherwise they will risk a blackout. Then also we have a problem with solar energy. And,
of course they do.
You know, a small percentage of solar energy is no problem. But if every house has solar panels on their roofs, there's an overproduction in summertime. So now they are thinking that they will switch off the solar panels using the smart meter if they have too much of electricity in the system, because otherwise the electric grid would collapse in a blackout. So now they are thinking about switching off the solar panels in summertime. But, you know, as a house owner and investor in solar panels, you are earning most of the money in summertime. So you have made an investment.
Yep.
And then you don't get a return of investment anymore when they are switching off your solar panels because they have too much of electricity. So here they're saying to keep the system stable, they are thinking about separating the smaller solar systems on private houses from the electric grid. Yeah, next, here they're saying that if you want to recharge your electric vehicle, it's soon becoming more expensive than if you have a car which is running on gas or diesel. That's because the electricity price is so high. Furthermore, the automobile industry is suffering even more. So in this article, they are saying that Audi has 20% less revenue, and Mercedes also states that they have less revenue now. And this is becoming a real problem, guys, because with less and less new cars on the market, the old cars will raise in value. And that's a problem because then even if you cannot afford a new car, You also cannot afford an old car because even the old car is really expensive. Also now they're doing something which I've predicted a long time ago. They are not only removing subsidies on electric vehicles now, but also now they are thinking about putting taxes on electric vehicles. So now they tax the electric car the same way as they tax a normal gas-powered car, for example. This is the plan. So they want to put the same tax on electric vehicles.
So basically, they sold all of this Green New Deal nonsense to people. They were like, hey, get solar panels for your house. It's an investment. You produce electricity, we'll buy it. We'll give you subsidies if you buy an electric car. You don't have to pay taxes. Look, it's cheaper to charge your electric car than buy petrol, which is what they call gas or diesel in the European nation. Now they're backtracking on all of that. So middle-class people who thought, wow, I can finally get a break on my taxes. I can get, a little money off my solar panels on my house to pay my electric bill for the winter when most Europeans almost can't afford to stay warm. They're freezing to death over there. It's all going back away, you guys. They lie. You know what they found? They're finding that the electrical grid can't handle what they're trying to do with these electric cars and stuff. All right, so this one, I saw this guy earlier today, and I was really irritated. I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
Indian blood.
Hold on, let me fix it real quick for y'all. I was really, really upset because it says despite possessing certificates of Indian blood, CIBs, and state-issued IDs, several individuals have been detained or questioned by ICE agents who do not recognize these documents as valid proof of citizenship, the Navajo Nation Council said in a press release. Curley called for immediate assistance from Navajo Nation President Nagreen. Our people are reaching out to us directly, and their needs are urgent. We must act swiftly to ensure their safety and well-being. Do you guys know why the CIBs and the state issue IDs are not enough for the ICE? Anybody's been watching me for a while, you already see the problem here. I told you yesterday what is happening on these reservations. Who has moved in? The cartel. And along with the cartel comes drugs, money, trafficking, weapons, and what? Not just cash, but counterfeit documentation. So you've got a bunch of cartel members running around with paperwork saying that they're a Navajo Indian and an ID from the Navajo Nation, and ICE is onto it. Somebody has tipped them off. Somebody on one of these reservations has made a phone call to the ICE immigration and said, hey, we have a problem. You're going to see a bunch of fake Navajo Indians who are really illegal aliens working for the cartels coming off the reservations with certificates of Indian blood and state-issued IDs. Now, that's real. But this guy, I had watched him a few times, Status Coup or whatever.
Absolutely.
But when I watched him today, I got furious because I'm like, he's buying into the mainstream media of it's all about the color of your skin. It's all about racism. He's not seeing the bigger picture that the Indian reservations have been overrun by Mexican cartels, and ICE knows that 50% of the people that they're looking at documents for, that these documents are fake. But of course, all the Navajo leaders are screaming racism. Everybody on social media screaming racism. And now this guy with a few 100,000 subscribers is right up there with him. So guess who unsubscribed? Me. I will put all these videos in description of this when I get off, like when I'm done with the video.
It's just absolutely absurd. Curley called for immediate assistance from Navajo Nation President
Nygren. Quote, our people are reaching out to us directly and their needs are urgent. We must act swiftly to ensure their safety and well-being. She said that the Navajo people depend on the tribe for solutions and that Nygren's response to the issue has been insufficient. Nygren told the Arizona Mirror that his office has heard the concerns coming into his office and circulating on social media about indigenous people in urban areas potentially being detained by ICE. However, he said that his office has not been able to verify or successfully reach a Navajo person who has been detained. Quote, I am glad that none of our citizens has been detained for any of this, he said, adding that his administration is currently working to gather information. Well, then you're not paying attention because it's all over social media. And I've seen Native Americans posting that they know of people that have been detained by ICE within the last 48 hours. Quote, being indigenous, being Navajo, you're more American than being American, Nygren said. We got to have that respect from the federal government. Well, you're not going to get that respect from Donald Trump. This is from 2016. Donald Trump's long history of clashes with Native Americans from the Washington Post. Donald Trump claimed that Indian reservations had fallen under mob control. Interesting. He wants to talk about the mob since he was money laundering in New York for many, many years in connection with Russia and the mafia. But I digress. That's well reported. He secretly paid for more than $1 million in ads that portrayed members of a tribe in upstate New York as cocaine.
So that's what we're up against, folks. Donald Trump, yet every time somebody says he's being crazy, they're eating the cats and the dogs, what did the mainstream media do? They laughed. But the people living in Springfield were like, it's true. They're doing it. Here, Trump has been screaming since 2016 that due to the casinos, the mobs have moved in on the reservations. And now you've got the Mexican cartel moving in, getting certificates of Indian blood made up for them so that they can portray themselves as Native Americans. If you can't see that, then you just don't know how bad people work. All right, so let's keep going, my friends.
Controversial picks and is facing new criticism from his famous family. RFK Jr. declined to discuss his cousin Carolyn Kennedy's scathing letter urging the Senate not to confirm him. In the letter, Carolyn described her cousin as unqualified and lacking any relevant experience to the role, saying he is potentially dangerous to the nation's public health. The former U.S. ambassador to Australia and the daughter of President John F. Kennedy is urging senators to reject his nomination.
Bobby continues to grandstand off my father's assassination and that of his own father. It's incomprehensible to me that someone who is willing to exploit their own painful family tragedies for publicity would be put in charge of America's life and death situations.
RFK Jr. is scheduled to appear before the Senate Finance Committee at 8 a.m. our time this morning.
I tell you what a sour Democrat. Can I get an amen?
Own nothing. They don't want to own anything. Everything is a service.
I miss the days where when you actually purchased something, it was yours.
I just lost every single book on my Kindle, over 300 books.
Then I tried to print at my leisure, and it was like, no, you literally can't use the printer unless you have a subscription.
Automakers want to turn this thing you drive every day into a moving subscription.
A new study shows Gen Zers have some finance problems, starting out with more credit card debt than previous generations.
But let this be your reminder, you guys, we don't own anything on social media. This is their app. They can at any time get rid of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, your email. We don't own anything.
And ultimately, that's how you completely control human beings.
Welcome to the year 2030, where you'll own nothing and be happy, or so they say. That phrase is from Ida Auken, a Danish social democrat, who in 2016 envisioned a future where ownership is obsolete. In her utopian prediction, we no longer own cars, houses, appliances, or even clothing. Instead, everything that was once a product is now a service. But as 2030 approaches, this prediction that was once framed as a dream is now feeling more like a dystopian reality. Today, it feels like subscription-based models have taken over the commerce world, and with that, taken the rights to our purchases. From printers that limit the amount of pages you can print unless you pay a monthly fee, to Kindle's ability of revoking ebooks you've already bought. The age of ownership is rapidly fading. And as for Gen Z, well, these digital natives who were raised in a world where access outweighed ownership, they're now paying the ultimate price, the loss of personal property. In this new reality, control over our basic utilities, creativity, and even our personal history has been transferred from the consumer to corporations. So let's talk about it, how the erosion of ownership is infiltrating every aspect of our lives, and how Gen Z's future is one of impermanence.
And you know, when I heard that, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, we are already in. You will own nothing and be happy. How many of you right now have subscription services to streaming videos? You have a subscription service for Microsoft. You have a subscription service to keep your pictures in iCloud. I mean, it's a lot, you guys. It is a lot.
You are now being charged monthly for so many things, right? Or every single business having its own app. So in order to get something done, you need to download a new app. Both of these things are symptoms of shareholder capitalism, which is the idea that companies need to squeeze more and more money out of their customers in order to create more value for their shareholders, aka it's just the endless pursuit of profit.
Between movies, music, video games, fitness apps, cable television, phone services, cooking apps, educational apps, online magazine, finance apps, and everything else in between, the average American has 4.5 subscriptions and pays an average of $924 a year. And that is $1,000 you pay every year and will continue to pay every year for things that you don't actually own. And I am embarrassed to admit that I am just as bad, if not worse,
for things that you do not actually own. What? All right, let's keep going, guys, because it's going to get really good. I found these for y'all. So I found, okay, so this is actually a commercial. Oh no, sorry.
This pivotal moment, I see several priorities for the global agenda. We must continue to fight against the global pandemic. We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero. We must preserve biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions, and we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development.
I told you guys, how are they going to narrow the gap between the rich and the poor? It is not the way all these young people have been trained up in this crap think it's going to be. It's not going to be take the poor out of poor and move them into middle class. It's going to take the middle class and put them down in poor. So then you're going to have a few thousand uber rich and billions of poor. That's how they want it. They want slaves. They want them.
Future of the world. The World Economic Forum is considered to have significant influence. At the same time, it attracts considerable criticism.
A former judge and member of the European Parliament describes the WEF as the world's most dangerous international association.
At the center of it all is one man, Klaus Schwab.
And he literally won't die. Like, why is this man not dead? I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly. I know he's not saved. I mean, I can only make that assumption, right? And I'll just pray for his salvation because this man is like, he will not go away.
The core ideas of Henry Kissinger. During his time as a professor at Harvard, Henry Kissinger's main ideas revolve around realpolitik, a practical and strategic approach to international relations that emphasizes power dynamics over ideology or moral considerations. He believes that global stability can only be achieved through a balance of power among nations. not by pursuing idealistic or moral goals.
Kissinger focused on the need for leaders to understand the motives, intentions, and potential moves of other states operating in a world where each nation acts to maximize its power and security.
His approach reflects the basics of game theory, understanding what others might do, adjusting strategies when situation changes, and seeking equilibrium where stability can be maintained. With his prestigious educational background, Klaus Schwab lands a lucrative career as the director of Sulzer Escher Weiss AG in Zurich, serving on the managing board. It is a Swiss engineering firm where his father was a senior member. His role is pivotal and challenging, as he is tasked with restructuring the company during a critical period in the late 1960s.
So all these changes in the world, internally and externally, are leading organizations toward the need to restructure every so often. So we have to be constantly thinking about how can we restructure our business to give us the organizational capabilities and the scale we need to be able to grow.
His work was very much like management consulting, helping companies improving operations, raising revenue and cutting costs. But along the way, he realized the importance of putting his philosophy into action, the so-called stakeholder approach.
There it is.
As he streamlines operations and modernizes.
And there is where stakeholder comes in. Right now, you go look at any Federal Register and they ask for stakeholders. Folks, we're in trouble. Now listen to this last one, and then I'm not going to keep you stuck doing this.
So, listen to this. This is why we talk about mobility, because actually, if you can get people to share a car, you can take out, a lot of cars in the streets. I think it's Singapore where they looked at how they could bring it down to about 40% of the cars if we would use them smarter. And the interesting thing about technology is that it makes sharing easy and fun and not annoying. It used to be a little bit difficult to share. You would have to go in somewhere in the other end of town and get a key. And that's not what you want to do if you want to take your car. But if you can just use your neighbor's car because you have a smartphone and an app and you don't even need to know the neighbor to get into his car, it's much easier and much more fun to share. And you start then thinking completely different about transport and traffic. And I think it's very important that we do not just try to fix yesterday's paradigm, but think about how do we want a city to move.
So I want you guys who are worried about the World Economic Forum taking over and making you live in pods and eating bugs. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, don't worry. Everything's going to be just fine. I can't believe people pay these people money. Yeah, they want to destroy private ownership. The problem is that the way that they think about things is devoid of human logic. It's almost like they are designing something for robots, but there's never any consideration of human friction and human behavior. And that's the issue.
Right.
They assume blind trust. Yeah, exactly.
Blind trust. So what, you're going to get on an app and I'm going to be forced to allow you to rent my vehicle for the day, and you just get in there with your dogs and your kids eating McDonald's and your neighbor's smoking and you're drinking and driving and you wreck my car. And yeah, I can just see how great that's going to work in America. People just, have just the best personalities here, right? Now, this is interesting.
About the history of education. I started questioning what I was doing as a teacher by reading the book Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto. I love that book so much that I decided to read other books by him, and one of the books that he wrote is An Underground History of American Education. I read through that whole book and became absolutely convinced that if people knew the history of American education, we would not be doing what we're doing. Here are some quotes from people who helped to set up our American education system. What is the purpose of industrial education? To fill the young of the species with knowledge and awaken their intelligence? Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. That is its aim in the United States, and that is its aim everywhere else. H.L. Mencken. If the public schools can keep the children occupied throughout the day with sports after school and homework in the evening, the parents will have less than an hour a day with their children, and the families and Christian churches' influence over them could be broken in about a generation. John Dewey. We who are engaged in the sacred cause of education are entitled to look upon all parents as having given hostages to our cause. Horace Mann. Education should aim at destroying free will so that after pupils are thus schooled, they will be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. Johann.
All right. You can look those quotes up yourself. They are real. Those things do happen. As an educator, I can tell you guys of years of sitting there being told that children had to memorize facts and sitting desks. Yet, if you looked at all my degrees together, you could call me a behavior modification specialist, right? And I knew early on, I used to make parents really angry because back when I taught first grade and kindergarten, you couldn't put your kid on any kind of drugs like amphetamines because that's what Adderall and all of those are. They're amphetamines. You couldn't put your kids on those unless you had a doctor, a therapist, and an educator sign off on it. In all my years of teaching, thank you, God, I can honestly say I never approved one child to be medicated. What I did was go to people's houses and showed them what the school system had done to make their child the way they were. Kids are not made to sit inside. When you guys see me with my God babies, where are we at? We're outside. They're running all over the yard. They're playing in the chicken coops. They're playing basketball, riding their bikes, swinging on the tire swing, screaming, look at me, Miss Sam. Look at me, Miss Sam. We're playing with fireworks. We're drawing with chalk on the ground, but we aren't inside. So until all of Americans, all children are taken out of the system we currently have, you're going to get brain dead miniature soldiers that they can teach how to protest. Because I watched a lady the other day talking about how in her school, since all the Trump executive orders have gone through, they had to revamp how they were teaching. They had to take out the woke ideology where children created protest songs and protest posters as part of their education. They had to take that out. And that was a Texas public school system. Just saying, folks. Just saying. Okay, so
all-out war. Now I'm going to let this guy tell you.
I already showed you that.
This is not
Showed y'all that last night. All right, hold on. This guy I saw earlier, and I want to read to y'all. He was talking about how we have to fight for women's rights and people's individuality and yada, yada. And then it was all about the winter boots. It says, so I've been hearing from multiple sources that the EOs Trump is enacting executive orders are bait for people to protest so he can declare martial law. Once he does that, game over. You can't just call martial law for protesting. Large gathering of protesters, Trump will invoke the Insurrection Act and martial law and become the dictator. Lord have mercy. White supremacists and ICE on the ground everywhere in Virginia. Please, everyone, be careful. Protest peacefully as Trump is waiting to enforce martial law. Standing in solidarity, hashtag the resistance. I told y'all.
When we all decided that Marilyn Manson removed a rib so he could, like, you know,
These
go
people
down on
are
himself
sick.
on his peen. That whisper campaign was so powerful that we were able to get that across the entire United States without social media. Imagine what we can do now. Imagine what we could do now with this platform and all the platforms that we have access to. There is a point to this. If you're anti-fascism, pro-human rights, there are protests happening all over the U.S. on January 29th at 2 p.m. Imagine if all of us told 10 friends, and those 10 friends each told 10 of their friends.
Okay, so here's our goal today. We are to tell 10 friends that as long as Trump does not deviate from the Constitution and the laws empowered to him, we're going to pray for him. We're going to fast for him, and we're going to support our country, because isn't this what we wanted? Isn't this what we wanted? I don't know about you, but I'm done with these children being taught to hate the country that they're in. They have been taught a global perspective. They do not understand that their lives legitimately are in danger, and their parents struggle to pay the bills, and they'll never own anything because of globalism. It is why they do the mass migration nonsense. It is to destabilize communities. You have about a fourth of our country fighting to keep 30 million illegal aliens in this country. But the good news is 3/4 of us are fighting to get them out. Stand strong, stay aware. I love you guys so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, every video I do is not going to be perfect. I don't get paid a whole lot to do this. So bear with me when my GPS is literally giving me instructions on how to safely get where I'm going. Love you guys. Be blessed.